Welcome Altcoin Buzz Army, I am Zach and today we are going to be looking at one of the least controversial topics in modern times. Yes, I'm talking about Brexit, not controversial at all. However, we're going to be talking about why Brexit may actually be a crypto opportunity. We're not going to be talking about the politics behind it, but we're going to be talking about why it may be an opportunity for cryptocurrency in the developed world and why it's a good example of why we need cryptocurrency. Now, if you're American or from anywhere else in the world, you may be thinking this is going to be a localized video that's only appropriate to people from the UK and Europe. However, this affects any developed or rich country because it's an example of why we need crypto, even in countries that we see that are developed and extremely rich. So this is going to be even relevant for everyone else. It's hard to ignore when the UK is the fifth largest economy in the world behind the US, China, Japan, and Germany with a GDP of $2.8 trillion. And according to Google, London has the world's largest financial centre. So it's really a large stage for something like this to be happening. And that's why it's a good example, as I've said already. So what is Brexit? Well, Brexit is the UK leaving the European Union, and it's become, whether you're a Remainer, a Brexiteer, a Tory, a Labour supporter, whether you're European, whether you're American, whether you're Chinese, whatever, to everyone, it's become rather a large mess. And there's been huge amount of uncertainty about a customs union, which is the union of free trade within the European countries that you can see there, and freedom of movement and trade deals around the world. So this is where Brexit has become this good example for us to talk about of why we need cryptocurrency even in modern and developed countries. Now, it's very, very important that we talk about this because this could be somewhere that cryptocurrency starts to take off in a more developed country, a country that you wouldn't think crypto was as needed. So what's the first reason I think it's a great opportunity? Well, of course, it's a hedge against the pound. Now, this may seem slightly weird thing to start with. However, if you look at this chart here that we've just taken from TradingView, if you look way back in the end of 2007, the pound was worth over $2. £1 was worth over $2. However, now it's down to $1.28 for a pound. And this is very important because the US currency is the largest reserve currency in the world. I don't want to go into too much hardcore economics, but you can control your export value based on stockpiling US dollars in currency. So if you stockpile US dollars, for example, you can raise the dollar value compared to your currency, and this makes your exports cheaper. So if the dollar value is going down compared to your currency, it makes your exports more expensive. And it makes sort of your debt and purchasing power quite expensive. I mean, the UK only has around 150 billion US dollars in reserve. Now, this is not a lot of money. And admittedly, Germany doesn't have much either. It only has $200 billion, but I would assume they have a lot of euros. And this isn't much to cover their debt obligations. If you look down at the government expenditure here from 2016 to 17, you can see that the debt interest highlighted in red there is £40 billion, which is around 3 years of US dollars if you were in a situation where the pound went down hugely in value. And you can see that the UK national debt is massive. It's nearly very nearly 100% of the GDP, and that is a massive scary issue for many people across Britain and Europe. So this doesn't seem like a big issue to start with, but when you start going down into it, drilling down into the reasons why this is a big issue, you can see that really you need something to hedge against the pound or hedge against the euro, because it shows that even currencies, that are powerful, can be subject to sort of massive destruction or uncertainty. And that's where we are at the minute. We are hugely uncertain about the pound, and we want to hedge sort of against it by using cryptocurrency. And even the euro is massively uncertain at the minute. If there was a large recession, the debt obligations across the eurozone are massive. You look at Spain, who's got 120% GDP debt. Italy's 96%, I believe. So you're looking at countries that have a lot of debt and they don't have many currency reserves. So you're looking at a possibility of widespread inflation and widespread currency degradation. And of course, we know that crypto is a great way to hedge against this and a great way to combat this in general. Often we associate sort of cryptocurrency with places with hyperinflation like the real in Iran, but we can see that if you drill down into this, that a lot of currencies are in a precarious position, and we can protect against this with cryptocurrency. Of course, there is huge volatility in cryptocurrencies in general, but it's always good to have something up your sleeve as a hedge against fiat currency in general. So what's the second reason? Cross-border payments. So on the 29th of March, Britain will be leaving the EU, and it's very, very likely, it's increasingly more likely that we'll be leaving without any deal with the EU whatsoever. So in this case, we do not know what happens at all. We will not know what will happen with the customs union. We will not know what happens with euro to pound payments, with pound to euro payments. We won't know what happens with our financial sector, banking systems, all the legislation that goes around them. So nobody really knows, and that's hugely uncertain. You do not know what's going to happen with those payments. If you're importing from the EU or you're importing from somewhere else, we don't know whether the legislation may be a problem at that point. So there may be some sort of backlog, there may be delays, there may be huge price hikes. We do not know. And this may be becoming extremely expensive to make cross-border payments. However, if you know about cryptocurrency, you know that cross-border payments are just as easy as sending money to someone in the next room. And it's very quick, very cheap, and doesn't hold all this huge risk. And on top of that, the payment's irrefutable. It can't be seized by the government. And that is a great thing for you if you are paying cross-border. And I would recommend cross-border payments using crypto is possibly the best way to do it. So you really are putting yourself in a stronger position if, when Brexit happens and no deal happens, that you use Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies as a cross-border payment method. Now, this is a very effective way of doing cross-border payments, and this could be the answer to huge banking hikes or banking mystery. Now, we don't know. It may be absolutely fine after the Brexit happens. However, we don't really know. And on top of that, it's worse anyway. It's worse anyway to cross-border payment now without using crypto. So even if it's all hunky-dory, it's all the same after Brexit happens, it's still a better way to do your cross-border payments using crypto. So that isn't, but this Brexit highlights it. It highlights it. It gives it that example in a rich country once again, and shows you why crypto is very useful and very powerful, and a powerful technology. So now on to our third reason, which is border trust and government control. So border trust, I basically mean, do you trust your elected officials in your country, within your borders? And do you trust your government and their control over your money? I mean, let's first look at this picture. Do you live in any of these countries? Bonus points to anyone who can name everyone from left to right. And on top of that, you get an extra bonus point if you can name the location. This was 2018, sorry. So if you live in any of these countries, take a look at your elected leader and think to yourself, would you let them control your money? Do you like the idea of them controlling your money? And there's a couple of extremely large smiles or grins there. Would you trust your elected official? Would you trust the people that run your country with your money? And if the answer is no, then why do you? Why do you trust your currency with these people? And why do you trust the banks to be sympathetic and all-powerful at the same time? It's not very great to trust these people with your money. And I'm not saying instantly turn all your money into cryptocurrency. I'm just highlighting the power once again of cryptocurrency and why Brexit is a good example of this. Because maybe in your country, sensible fiscal policy isn't at the head of the discussion. It isn't the thing that's important right now. Maybe in your country, maybe your government controls more about social issues. Maybe your government cares more about a larger event that's happening in the future. Maybe your government cares more about building something on one of its borders than sensible fiscal policy. So, you can't really put trust in your government to always have sensible fiscal policy and control your currency in a great way, in a good way. Maybe you didn't vote for the government. Maybe you don't like the government that's in charge, yet you still have to trust them with your money. And maybe if you're in the UK, you didn't vote for Brexit and you still want to be in the customs union, then you're trusting the government with your money that you have no control over where the path of the country's going. Maybe you mistrust the government. Maybe you don't like what they've done in the past. So do you trust your government with money? And in Britain, with Brexit, nearly everyone can agree that they no longer really trust Theresa May. Whether you're a Tory or Labour, they no longer really trust Theresa May with our fiscal policy and with our Brexit negotiations. And therefore, it's a good example, once again, that you don't have control of your country's destiny, and therefore you don't have control over your country's currency, and therefore you don't have control over your money. You don't have control that in a month or so the government decides to put in 1,000% inflation. And you may be sitting there thinking that's a ridiculous example, and yes, it is. It is a ridiculous example, but rich countries and clever countries or companies in the past have been known to do ridiculous things and stupid things with governments that have come into them. And that really is the message. Once you move to a more crypto-focused existence, you move to an existence more focused on financial independence and security than otherwise you would. And I really do believe that crypto is the future of currency and of finances across the world, giving back everyone financial independence. So that really is it from me. I tried to use 3 examples and 3 reasons why Brexit is a great opportunity for cryptocurrency, but it's also really a great example of why crypto is needed even in the developed and rich, in quotation marks, world. Because many of us think, this is a great technology. It's amazing in places like Africa, where it can bank the unbanked, where it can serve as great payment methods in poor places, where it can legislate people without anything and give them legislation on their house or whatever they need. But not many of us think at the minute that it's that much benefit to rich countries or countries where government is trusted, where the bank is trusted, where the bank would never do anything stupid. Yet we had a financial crash in 2008 that was based a lot on something that the banks did in a very stupid way. So I wanted to just use Brexit there as an example of why you should still believe in cryptocurrency in these rich countries and why crypto is the way to go for the world. Now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. please remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave any comments down below. It's great. I saw a lot of your comments in the last video and I've tried to alter some of my audio settings. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Zach over and out.